Sometimes I get overwhelmed and then I think about this fact that I learned. I don't know where I learned it, but I learned it like 10 years ago. And it's that the amount of stimulus that we experience in one day is the amount of stimulus that people would have like experienced in their entire lifetime, like 200 years ago. Like from email notifications, text messages, phone calls, TV, radio, podcasts, street lights. Literally every single thing that we experience day to day. Like, no wonder we're all mentally ill and overstimulated because our little bodies don't know how to keep up with it. So sometimes I just gotta give myself a break and say, you know what? You're doing great. Humans have never done this before, and just keep it moving. Keep doing whatever you need to do. If you need to go get a sweet treat, go do that. If you need to lay down for a second, go do that. But man, oh man.
Could this shirt be any more fitting for this topic? I don't think it's a surprise that with the way that the world is, the way that we are expected to perform, the way that we are constantly inundated with so much information, whether that be negative, positive, just information in general, we are all so unbelievably burnt out. It's not just that we're working harder, because there certainly has always been hard workers in every generation prior. It's that with the constant influx of social media posts, news, election, drama, pop culture, work, the housing crisis, inflation, getting your kids ready for school, the lack of village, having to do it all by yourself, having to make 3 meals a day plus 5 snacks a day, having to consider making it healthy, having to consider going to the doctor, having to consider going to the dentist. Oh, have I made my eye doctor's appointment? Yeah, have I? We are not meant to do as much as we are doing all day long, every day. And that is why we are so fundamentally burnt out. I'm gonna cut in here to say I'm doing a giveaway with ColourPop. They reached out to me and asked if I wanted to do a giveaway for the Stranger Things collection here on my YouTube channel. And I said, yes. There's gonna be a winner of the entire Stranger Things collection because it is Stranger Things Day today, which is so exciting that they wanted to reach out to me. I recently did a video on the collection, so if you guys wanna see it all in action and my thoughts on it, I'm gonna have that linked here. But if you guys wanna enter the giveaway, the rules are that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and comment your favorite scene from Stranger Things, and then hit the thumbs up button, and that will enter you into the giveaway for an entire Stranger Things collection from ColourPop. And then we're gonna hop back into the video. The more I learned throughout the years about how the human body has evolved over the course of centuries, it's no surprise to me that people are drowning. If we were kind of living ultimately the way that I think that human beings were probably meant to live, I think we would have a lot easier of a time getting to a state of homeostasis just in general, where we weren't in this chronically burnt out, stressed out state all the time, where we have the support of an entire group of people around us. We have help with our kids. We have support in meal planning and taking care of one another, but we don't live like that anymore. We not only don't live like that anymore, a lot of people are doing it completely on their own. Sometimes you have the support of your partner, but sometimes you don't, like single mothers or single people in general. You could be child free. You still have the burden of the world on your back with student loans, with all of these things. It makes a lot of sense why even sitting here listening to this, it's just like, well, then what do we even do? I wish I had the full answer for you, but I want to talk about burnout because I feel like people are so fundamentally overwhelmed and burnt out that they don't even realize it's not your fault. It's the way that we are living that is so the opposite of how we should be living that it's perfectly acceptable to think that you feel overwhelmed by this, because it's really overwhelming. In therapy over the last few years, I've learned a lot about why we are the way that we are. And I was always judging myself. I was feeling like, why am I like this? Like, shouldn't I be able to handle this? Shouldn't I be able to do all of this? No, in fact, that culture and mindset is why all of us feel like we are struggling and behind, but also drowning at the same time. We are not supposed to be doing half of what we're doing. With all of what information we're getting in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the sheer volume of work that we are doing as a human species, mind-boggling. No shit, you're stressed. So I feel like in our culture, we've glorified work. And obviously we all have to pay our bills. We have to survive. We all know the drill. This is the base level of it all. Okay. So if it were just work, maybe that'd be one thing. And I feel like, people always have been working hard, but when you add in social media on top of that, baby, it's recipe for disaster. The World Health Organization describes it as a state of chronic stress leading to exhaustion, cynicism, and reduced professional efficacy. It is a real psychological condition and it's hitting harder than ever. And while I think that in a way, technology can be an okay thing. You know, it's advanced so many things in our lives. It's screwing us up. It's screwing us up. I'll tell you why right now. We are more connected than ever. And obviously, you know that. You're literally on the internet right now looking at me. It keeps us connected, but at the same time, there's no time that our brain can have downtime. And I know people talk about self-care all the time, but I feel like self-care is like almost a joke at this point. It's like, just take a bath. It's like, okay, my brain isn't normal anymore, okay? When I'm in the bath, I have to be reading a book, like, and listening to a podcast, and I have to have white noise on, and it's like something's fundamentally broken in my brain to where I'm almost overstimulating myself on purpose. Do you guys agree? I don't know why I do that. I just need a break from it all. And at the same time, it's like I can't. And I don't want to, but I do. My nervous system needs me to. But I myself am like almost continuing the cycle. I guess that's called addiction, social media addiction. Put on top of that, we're always comparing ourselves to other people on social media. We're always looking at how much better everybody else looks, how much more successful everybody else is. You've got every single opinion of every single person around you talking to you constantly about the state of the world, why what you believe is wrong, why what you believe is right. You're either in an echo chamber or you're in a place where people are yelling at you. It's fighting, it's debating, it's constant noise coming from the outside. Can we catch a break? I don't know. I feel like all of this leads to feelings of inadequacy, stress, the need to do more. You always feel like you have to do more. I know that for myself, I always feel like I'm not doing enough. Even when I'm doing everything to the maximum of my capacity, I'm like, nah, that's not enough. That's not enough. I've done so much work over the years for this and it's still going. So we're inundated with so much information that we literally can't even handle it. Our nervous systems are fried. We're feeling anxiety, depression, physical health issues from prolonged stress. Stress is real. I used to not believe it. When my doctor would be like, are you stressed? I remember being like, no. Yes. Are you seriously saying no? You can't say no. You're a liar. Yes, I'm stressed. I feel like all of us live in a constant chronic state of stress. And so what do we need to do? What is the actual answer? I feel like admitting it is the first step. Recognizing it is going to be the first step because you can't address it if you don't recognize it. So I'm recognizing it right now, but also not blaming yourself. Now I talked about this in a recent video and I think it's extremely important. And who am I? I am just a lady on the internet. But one thing that we are missing, a key component that we're missing in our lives is community. I truly believe in every fiber of my being that if we had more community and more support, all of us would be so much better off for it. The more isolated we've become as a species, the more we have strayed away from other people because we are introverts or like being alone, the more sick we get because when we don't have that support, when we don't have the help, when we don't have the village, we can't survive. Human beings are an unbelievably sociable species. I have learned this over the last few years. When I first started dealing with all my mental health issues and started actually forward facing them in therapy, my therapist told me something that I will never forget. She was like, you need to go out, you need to see people, you need to go do some things that you want to do, you need to do some hobbies and, go for a walk and go talk to other people, maybe have dinner with family. And I was like, so like, how often do I have to do this? And she was like, oh, every day. And I was like, what? She's like, that's living, that's life. I'm like, oh my God, I have to see people every day. And she's like, yeah, bro. I'm like, oh, well, there's my problem. She was absolutely right. The more people I'm around, even though I was like, I am a loner. I like to be alone. No, my nervous system doesn't. It doesn't. It does not. Nope. It wants to be around people. It needs community. It needs support. It needs to feel like it's not alone. When we feel like we're alone, we feel hopeless. Weird. And I feel like a huge precursor to all of these things like anxiety, depression, loneliness is the biggest factor that we need to address. If we as a nation, a species, a collective start being around each other more often, like every day, at least a few times a week, but every day would be great. Getting together with people, commiserating, having community, if that's other moms, if that's other people in your field of work, if that's just people in general, going to a coffee shop, being around other people, life-changing first step. Second step, I talked about this in my last video and some people don't like it and I'm just gonna say it, mindful self-compassion. I feel like one of the things that has helped me more than anything else in therapy that I've done It has been the number one most helpful thing when I can implement it. Sometimes I have a really hard time, having a hard time with it today, being honest with you about that, because I don't want to make it seem like this is easy. It's not easy. It's effective though. I never said it was easy. All this stuff is very hard, but mindful self-compassion. Now, what does mindful self-compassion mean? Oh man, it means simply not being mean to yourself and noticing how you feel without judgment. I'm not saying be positive. Be positive that's a completely different story. I'm not saying you need to have like toxic positivity. Some people say that this is toxic positivity bullshit. It's not toxically positive to tell you not to be mean to yourself. There's a difference between saying being nice to yourself and being positive all the time. What I mean is you don't even have to be nice to yourself. You just don't be mean to yourself. Not saying things like anxiety again, there it goes. We got to get rid of it. God, what? I'm so anxious all the time. Literally, I am an anxious person. I am literally always anxious. I'm a depressed piece of shit. I'm constantly feeling like shit. I'm worthless. I'm ugly. I'm fat. I'm a loser. I'm not as popular as that person. That person on social media is way better. Oh my God, why does she look like that? Why can't I look like that? Because I have no self-control. I'm just a lazy piece of shit. That's what I'm talking about. Having mindful self-compassion would be saying like, you know what? I'm doing the best that I can today. Right now, I'm having a harder time eating healthy. Right now, I am overwhelmed because there's a lot going on in my life, and that makes perfect sense. It makes sense that my nervous system feels overwhelmed by the constant amount of stimuli that I have going on. You don't have to make false statements like, I'm amazing, I'm hot, skinny, and perfect. You can't hurt me. Nobody can hurt me. I'm not saying that you need to do that. Quite the opposite, actually. The actual point would be just to stop feeling an emotion and judging yourself based on that emotion. So if you feel a feeling pop up, you feel anxious, you feel your heart start beating really hard, you start feeling nauseous, you start feeling like you want to puke, you start feeling like dizziness, lightheadedness, instead of being like, stop being fucking anxious. Why am I always so anxious? Oh my God, anxiety. Just be like, and talking to your brain, say like, you're making my heart beat hard. You're giving me some nausea. You're sensing danger. So the way to convey to your brain that you're not mean to it is by speaking safety to it, correct? What is the opposite of worry? Safety. What is the opposite of fear? Safety. So teaching your brain that it's safe by telling it that it's safe, by showing it that it's safe, by saying, ooh, I'm noticing these things. And they may be uncomfortable, but actually reframing it in your brain by saying, it makes perfect sense why you're doing this to me right now. Overwhelm, burnout, all these feelings. It makes perfect sense why I'm experiencing all these things with the amount of negativity that I'm reading online, with the amount of negative stimulus that I have coming in, with the feelings of inadequacy, worry, guilt, shame, stress, the amount of things that I have on my plate, the amount of having to keep my house together, having to always be cleaning, having to always be cooking, having to always care for other people, and having to do it alone. It makes perfect sense why I'm feeling this way. Of course it does. And I'm not going to judge that part of myself that feels this way, because you know what? Actually, given the circumstances, my body's working perfectly. My nervous system, which is primitive, like I mentioned before, it used to have to worry about being chased by maybe a saber-toothed tiger, by being chased in the wilderness, by a storm or an animal sting, or a, hey, you just ate a mushroom and that was bad. You might die. That might be where your brain's coming from a little bit, okay? That primitive way that your nervous system is designed for is now in a modern world of 100 million things coming at you from every single direction at every single hour of the day. Constant fighting, constant bickering, constantly being told that the world is coming to an end, or that you're all gonna die, or that we're all gonna... That stuff is not benign. It has an effect on your nervous system, whether you like it or not. And so giving yourself the compassion to understand that it makes perfect sense why you feel overwhelmed. It makes perfect sense why you feel sick to your stomach every time you get on your phone, but why you also use your phone to disassociate from reality. Your brain is just doing what it thinks it can to keep you safe. It does not know because it doesn't know. Like, it doesn't know how to handle this because we're not supposed to live like this. And if you can come to terms with that, your brain is working exactly as it should by giving you symptoms of worry when there's a lot to worry about, then you can stop feeling like it's your fault for your body feeling this way. Your body's actually doing such a good job. Anxiety, depression, fear, all of those are really reasonable reactions to all of the things that are going on in this world. And so the number one step we can do, at least, is self-compassion and knowing it makes perfect sense why we all feel this way. And we need to collectively then do the opposite of what we have been doing that got us to this place. Now, it's not to say you got to quit your job, you got to live in a commune. You know, as much as that kind of sounds lovely. The first step could be self-compassion in just saying to your brain and yourself and your body and your nervous system, hey man, you're actually, given the circumstances, given the situation in which we're in life in general, with all the things that are being said around us, to us, about us all the time, all things considered, you're doing a pretty good job. Like, you're doing the best you can to take care of me. And I thank you for doing that. And if that means that today you have to give me a little bit of nausea to get me through the day, to alert me that there is some kind of danger going on, you're not wrong. Yes, physically, I may be safe. And we are. We are probably, most of us, sitting watching a phone right now in a house or in a car or at your work on your lunch break. I don't know where you are, but physically, most of us are very safe. But our nervous systems don't feel safe because you subconsciously know that there's about 1 trillion things that you either need to be doing, have to be doing, want to be doing. Like the video that I showed in the beginning of this, those amount of things were what you would have been faced with in an entire year. The amount of things that we are faced with in an entire day are crippling. And we're noticing the effects of that on our mental health, are we not? I mean, look at us as a nation. We are all drowning. And it's like we're doing it to ourselves, but we're not. It's not your fault. It's just the way it is right now. And I think there are things that we can do to change it if we need to. I think that we can, again, like I suggested, get ourselves into community. Like we can absolutely do that. That is something that I feel like is paramount to all of us starting to feel like we are human beings again. We need to have a sense of community. Even if you think you don't, even if you think, I'm an introvert, it's okay to be an introvert, but also like I said before, your nervous system, your subconscious, your everything about your nature as a human being is not solitary. Human beings are not a solitary creature. We would not be alone. We wouldn't be. We would not be. And how do we remedy this? I don't know, but we have to. So if you Google it and you're like, what do we do to combat burnout? This is what Google's gonna tell you. And let's see. I haven't read these. Let's see if I agree. Set boundaries. Make a clear distinction between work and personal time. Don't be afraid to unplug. It doesn't mean anything. Those are just like words. You know what I mean? It's just word salad. It's just things that people say. It's like, just take some time for you. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Because when I take time for me, I literally don't know what to do. Like, yeah, I'll do like some art, but like, is that what I need, is just to do art? Or do I need to like get off my phone more? Well, I am addicted to it, Jan. Prioritize self-care. Engage in activities that recharge you, whether reading, exercising, or spending time with loved ones. Well, yeah, okay. But like, how often? Every single day is what my therapist said. So add that to the list of things that you need to do. You know what? How to get rid of burnout. Add more things to your to-do list. Seek support. Talk to friends, family, or professionals. Sharing your feelings can be incredibly therapeutic. Now, this one I really agree with. This isn't a once a week thing. Like I said, we are chronically lonely. We need way more time with our loved ones and family and friends and peers and all of that than we are giving ourselves. We need way more. Practice mindfulness. Incorporate mindfulness or meditation into your daily routine to help reduce stress. Now, agreed, like I said before, be mindful of your feelings and compassionate with yourself in having those feelings. Try to notice them if you can, and without judgment, accept that that's just the way it is right now, and try to find an activity that helps reduce your stress. This is really hard when you're a parent, by the way. Like, all this stuff is really easy in theory, but as soon as you have kids, like, it's so much harder to implement any of this because you're never left alone. I think that one for me is really, really big, and I agree with that. I think we all need to practice a lot more mindfulness.
If you were my patient, it'd be a little different because we'd have a little more time. But if I can distill it down to the essence of what we do in a course of therapy, person with panic, I can say this from the inside out since you're looking at a panic disordered person in recovery, has adopted a posture with regard to the world within in which their own anxiety is their enemy. And they think that if they can just get the anxiety to go down, go away, not occur as much or not occur with such intensity, or at least not occur here or there in that situation, that then things would be better. In fact, all of that is not the solution to the problem, it is the problem. Holding anxiety as your own enemy, and that it has to go down, diminish it, go away, and not happen here, is a kind of self-invalidating, interiorly focused process that would get you even more entangled with these processes. Could we instead take this anxiety to be something that may be of importance, may even be meaningful, and it says something about your history, and could we learn to sort of hold it in a way that's more compassionate, to sort of bring the frightened part of you close and treat it with some dignity, and keep focused instead of making that go away, focused instead on what kind of life you want to live, connected to what kind of meaning and purpose.
Like the video I played suggests, the more you try to get rid of your feelings, the more your feelings come. Now, that video was about panic disorder. What I have learned over the years is that if you try to get rid of a feeling, you will have that feeling 10 times more. If you're like, oh my God, why am I anxious? Oh my God, why do I have anxiety? Oh my God, the more you try to stop being anxious, the more anxious you will get. Feel it, it's hideous, it's horrendous, it's the worst feeling in the entire world. Feel it, acknowledge it, accept it, validate it. It makes a lot of sense. So understandable that we're all overwhelmed. What we need to be doing, we need to be listening to things that are helpful, like understanding that you're not broken, you're not weird. It makes perfect sense why we're overwhelmed to the way that we are. Stop doom scrolling. I know I need to stop. It's been really bad. Look at your overwhelm as a sign from your body. Look at your burnout as a signal from your body. Instead of looking at it as a you issue, it's your body trying to tell you something. It's either trying to tell you to slow down, to stop. I honestly, if you saw my to-do list right now, it feels like, this is how it feels. Like, I get one area of my life sorted, and then it's like, you have 10,000 more things. Like right now, here's my list of things that I have to do. I have to change my open enrollment because my health insurance right now is $1,500 a month. It's absolutely insane. And I looked yesterday at open enrollment, and the same insurance I'm on that's $1,500 a month that I'm like, this way too expensive, is now almost $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month, that's a mortgage payment, or it was. Corporate taxes. I have a room downstairs, absolutely hideous. We want to turn into a guest bedroom, but it is our catch-all room for all the stuff that basically we don't know where else to put. It's in that room, so I need to clean and organize that room. I have to order my son's birthday invitations. I have to edit some wedding pictures for my sister, and that is on top of making 3 meals a day. That is on top of taking care of my son, playing Candyland, making sure that I'm doing flashcards with him, making sure that I'm keeping my house clean, canning up the applesauce because I went apple picking and I picked all the apples and then I didn't can them and then they started getting mushy and then I'm like, oh my God, they're sitting there on the counter and I need them. Oh my God, I have pumpkins sitting on my back porch that I wanted to roast and then I want to save them and I want to freeze dry them, but I got to get to the freeze dryer and before I got to get the freeze dryer, I actually have to clean up the catch-all room because I can't get to the freeze dryer. If I can't get to the catch-all room, I got to clean up the trays. No shit. We're all burnt out. We got a million things to do, and that's on top of having jobs. That's on top of taking care of our families. And that's on top of making time to hang out with our friends. So all the things that I just said, I hope I'm not giving you more things to stress out about by feeling like one more thing you need to do is add to your to-do list, hang out with friends. Because the last thing that any of us need to do is more. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and that it was somewhat interesting to watch or helpful to watch. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And again, I'm gonna have all the information for the giveaway linked down in the description. And I thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you at my next video. Bye.